Welcome to Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Arsenal Kids Podcast. My name is Madi. I'm joined by my co-host Ben, and it is great to have you join us for this episode.
Yes, hello listeners, and hello Maddie. We are up to episode number 148 today.
Thanks, Ben. And what are we talking about on our podcast this time around?
Well, Maddie, in part one, let's talk about the women's team life post-head coach Jonas as they got back to winning ways against Valerenga in the Champions League.
Winning 4-1, and then in part two?
Well, let's take a look at our men who are on international duty for their countries and how they went.
Before they are back in action this week.
They are, as they play Bournemouth in the Premier League. And just a quick reminder that we would love for you to help us grow our Arsenal Kids community. So please share our podcast with others.
We would love for you to join us on this adventure together.
We would indeed. And Maddie, the women's team have recorded their first victory in the UEFA Women's Champions League group stage as interim head coach Renee Slagers made just a single change from the weekend's team that lined up against Chelsea, bringing in Leia Codina for Lotte Wubben-Moy, who was unable to participate through concussion protocol.
Do we know what has happened to her?
Not particularly, just a head knock in training, it appears, and she's supposed to be back ready this weekend. So just a precaution to look after her at this stage, which is good news. But the lineup on the pitch got a dream start as just 70 seconds into the game, Emily Fox scored her very first goal for the Gunners with a close range tap-in. Taking full advantage of our early dominance and hesitancy from our visitors to give us a very early lead and settle some nerves around the ground and at home in life post-Jonas.
And we kept testing the visits after that.
We did. We continued to pile on the pressure with a series of set pieces. In one instance, Leah Williamson hit the post from a corner, and as our squad almost seemed to line up to take shots at the goal, the Valerenga keeper was equal to them all. But it would be through our early season top scorer, Caitlin Ford, that we would eventually double our advantage. A marauding run through the midfield from Mariona set up Beth Mead with a shot. Her attempt at goal was blocked, but luckily our Aussie, such is her form at the moment, was at the right place at the right time to sweep the ball into the roof of the net and gave the Gunners a 2-0 lead.
But then, 5 minutes later, the visitors got a goal back.
Yes, a lack of concentration at the back, and the Norwegian side high press bore them fruit as Leia Codina dwelled a little bit too long on the ball, got caught on it, and the striker managed to beat Codina's outstretched leg and the outstretched glove of Daphne von Domselaar and hit the target, meaning that the teams went into the halftime break with Arsenal still in the lead, but only 2-1.
We came out looking really good in the second half.
We did, Maddie, as we looked to build on our early dominance. Russo came close to increasing our lead with a collection of powerful shots that were parried away. And despite being troubled by the visitors' main striker, our defence held strong against her physicality and pace on the counter to keep her from getting a shot on target. And it meant that in the 85th minute, we were then in a great position to close off the tie, as Mariona got the goal after a commanding performance in the middle of the park in the 85th minute, after a beautifully threaded ball from Russo found Frida Mornham storming towards the goal. Fellow substitute then, Stina Blackstenius, found Mariona with a quick pass, and our Spaniard made no mistake, rifling the ball home.
Then our head coach made 2 late changes.
She did. One of them was bringing on Lena Hurtig, who returned to the pitch for the first time since November of last year. And also coming on was 18-year-old defender Katie Reid, who made her Emirates Stadium and Champions League debut in the closing moments of the game. And then Russo, who I think needed a goal to boost her confidence, she got on the score sheet as Mariona fed her with a Trivela pass, and our number 23 slotted the ball through the keeper's legs to complete our victory 4-1.
And does this mean for the team, Ben?
Well, Maddie, this victory moves us into second place in our group, behind leaders Bayern Munich, with the top 2-place group teams proceeding to the next stage of the tournament. Our next test in this league will be playing away to Juventus in the middle of next month.
And next up for the team, Ben?
Next up, we head into our last Super League game before an international break as we head to play West Ham away from home and hope to keep our winning form continuing.
Okay, well, let's leave it there for part 1 and we'll be right back after this with part 2. Welcome back, and Ben, let's take a look at how our men's team player has gone an international duty.
Sure thing, Madi, and it started off well during the international break for Leandro Trossard, who registered a goal and an assist for Belgium in their 2-2 draw away to Riccardo Calafiore's Italy in their first game of the international break. William Saliba also played the full game of France's 4-1 win against Israel, where he had over 100 touches of the ball.
Our England players did not go as well, though.
Declan Rice, he played the full 90, but Bukayo Saka limped off injured in the 51st minute of England's 2-1 defeat at home to Greece. In the second game for the Three Lions, though, Rice was again in action, and this time he was on the score sheet as they triumphed 3-1 over Finland. For Spain, David Raya kept another clean sheet for his country as he continues as the main keeper for them as they defeated Denmark, while Mikel Merino got some valuable minutes coming off the bench with about half an hour to play of that game for Spain. Jakub Kiwior also was a substitute for Poland, coming off the bench at halftime as they went down 3-1 to Portugal.
We then had more players go up against each other.
Yes, as Leandro Trossard came up against another teammate, this time William Saliba's France, as Belgium were beaten 2-1 by Les Bleus this time around. Both players played the 90 minutes and returned back to the Gunners without injury. Elsewhere, Calafiore's Italy defeated Israel 4-1. And Raya was back in goal for Spain and kept another clean sheet in their second game, with Merino playing just over an hour from the start as they defeated Serbia 3-0. Kiwior then also played 90 minutes for Poland as they drew 3-3 with Croatia.
And what about our players who have been in action in Brazil?
Yes, Madi, both big Gabriel Magalhães and Gabriel Martinelli were in action for the Canaries as they came from behind in their first game of the FIFA World Cup 26 qualifiers to beat Chile 2-1. Big Gabby was the man of the match as he got 90 minutes on the pitch, whereas Gabby Martinelli, he only came on in the 85th minute and got a little bit of game time, but it was then reported that he could not play Brazil's second game due to a small injury. We hope it's not too serious and he's back into action soon, as he was just seeming to come back into form. In Brazil's other game, Big Gabby was part of a backline that kept a clean sheet in their 4-0 win at home to Peru. And both players have now returned back to the Gunners.
And what about all the other players, Ben?
Well, Maddie, most of them are actually injured. Kai Havertz and Thomas Partey both pulled out of their national team squads at the last minute. And with Ben White, Jurrien Timber, Takahiro Tomiyasu, Martin Odegaard, Alexander Zinchenko, Kieran Tierney and others on the doctor's table, we hope the 2 weeks off has given them an opportunity to recover a little bit more and that we will see them in a matchday squad soon.
And next up for the men's team, Ben?
Next up, the men's team are back in the Premier League action. They're headed to Bournemouth this weekend to try and keep their unbeaten run continuing.
Okay, well, let's wrap it up for this episode. Thanks again for joining us at Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Before we sign off, we want to express our gratitude for your continued support. If you haven't already, follow, like and subscribe so you don't miss us in the future. Remember, your love for the beautiful game is what fuels our passion.
And we would love for you to spread the word about Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Yes, please share our podcast with other Arsenal kids you know and help us to grow this amazing community together.
We hope for you to join us on the pitch again soon.
Keep the spirit of the game alive, and until next time,
goodbye.